Hello, everybody, and welcome to June's third Thursday. How you doing, Jake?
Doing great. I am pumped to be here tonight.
I think this is going to be a great one, and we've got some great entries. And before we get going, I think what we'll do is just kind of talk about what Third Thursday is for those of us who are joining us for the first time. Uh, and basically, what Third Thursday is it's a monthly competition that we host here at svslearn.com. And it's a way for us to help people that are taking our online classes by giving them critiques. We don't give everybody a critique, but what we do is we look at all the images that come in. We select an unspecified number for honorable mentions. We choose a winner, and then we critique some, and we usually critique two each for a total of six, but that's up to interpretation as well. And
Yes.
tonight, well, let me finish. Then we take the video recording from GoToMeeting and we post it on our YouTube channel and on our website at svslearn.com so that everyone can, if they can't join us live, they can still watch it. But yeah, tonight Lee White is not going to be with us because he's at an art show. But he did talk about the fact that he's going to still critique too and post a video of that at a later time. So that's
Good
cool.
on you, Lee. Good job.
Yeah. So we wish him all the best. And he does amazing at these art shows, and he's
Yeah, I hope he
actually
makes a ton of
uh,
money.
talking about making a class on that I might help him with on selling at conventions and shows and just different tips and business advice for those who might think about adding that to their bag of tricks to make money as an artist and continue avoiding a real job.
I okay, you say that as a funny thing, but man, going to conventions,
It's a real
that is
job.
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but there's something about, yeah, Casey says this is hard work. I think there's something about when you're working for yourself that's more fun than when you have to get up to an alarm clock and go work for someone else.
Oh yeah,
Like I'd rather
yeah.
work three times as hard for myself than work for
hmm
someone else.
Yeah, because at a convention, I mean, if you're doing that, you're doing 4 or 5 a year or 10 a year or whatever,
Hmm.
and you're good at it, you're gonna make your yearly income, right?
Right.
Um, and you don't have to like clock in.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask to go to lunch, to stay an extra hour for lunch. Uh, and you don't have to, no one's telling you what to do.
Right.
You're right.
And
That,
sometimes you don't
that,
believe in the policies that they have at the business that you work in or whatever, and but yet you still have to enforce those and just all kinds of things.
on the flip side though, I will say, um, working at a studio, I've worked at several different studios, um, and working with like top talent and just being in that creative environment, man, that was good times. That's a cool job.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's something that I kind of feel like I missed out on, you know?
mhm.
So,
But um, and going alone isn't for everyone. You have to have a certain personality. So I'm in the headspace where it's like, yeah, I loved it. And that was good. It was good for me for the time period that I did it.
hmm.
Um, but I started becoming a very bad employee as I began working more and more on my own stuff. And so it wasn't fair to my employer for me to stay employed to them,
You had to come
because
clean.
yeah, because I just wasn't interested in what was going on there. All right. So are we just going to talk about that, or are we going to get down
We're
to
going to get
this?
down to business here. Okay. We,
I will
we,
say
we
this
like to
though.
talk about industry stuff every now and then, and
We do. I was going to say we should make a YouTube video together
yeah,
one of
we
these
should.
days. All right. Moving
Okay.
on.
All right. So what we usually do is start by sharing the images that came in. So I'm going to do that right now. And we're just going to take a look at all of them first. I might also take this time to mention that if there's a chance that you're not seeing yours, It could be several reasons. One, it could be a screw up on our part. We've been known to make mistakes in the past. It could also be that you've turned it in after the deadline. So the deadline is the day before the third Thursday. And this month, I might also add, we're meeting on the fourth Thursday. If people are going, well, wait a minute. Jake and I were both out of town at Denver Comic Con
Hmm.
last Thursday, and so we postponed it till this Thursday. Um, so that's why we are actually on the fourth Thursday of the month. But normally, you would have to turn in your art on the day before the third Thursday by noon Eastern Standard Time is our new benchmark that we're going with. So you'll have to do that time conversion on your own. And we're just going to kind of briefly flip through all the images that came in. The prompt um, this time for June was blank is the only blank that doesn't care for blank. And so anybody participating had to kind of come up with a person or character is the only person or character that doesn't care for fill in the blank, something that you chose. So there was a lot of options on this. It was pretty open. And it was basically looking for a character or a known character with certain attributes that didn't like something that those characters typically always like,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so some really fun, really fun solutions here. I feel like we should have music during this.
I know. Well, I like the watercolor in that one.
Yeah.
It turned out good.
Yeah, there's some
This
really,
one was cool. Like they did two full page spreads.
yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with the shark on land,
No.
for sure. That one's nice.
Yeah.
Funny too. You guys
Hmm.
are funny.
Yeah, lots of humor, and I think that's what this one called for. Um, maybe we'll do some serious ones because there are some really um, there are some serious topics that are covered in children's books from time to time, and maybe that's something we should explore. Although it's not really, I like fun stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like I don't know if I'd be willing to give that as a prompt, but you seem like a serious guy, Jake. Maybe that's
So
some,
serious.
maybe that's something up your alley. Um,
Yeah,
let's
we could do something like I don't want to go serious tonight. I was about to go really serious. I'm gonna I'm going to hold off on that.
well, there are
My next well, I'm in charge of next month's
right.
and it's a fun one.
Okay, good. I'm just saying in the future. I mean, there are topics like, when a family member gets a terminal disease or something, and there are children's books that deal with that.
Yeah.
Um,
I just bought a book called Grandpa's Island, or what is it called? Granddad's Island, and it's about Granddad dying. But it's really lighthearted in a way. They go to this island, and they have such a good time, and the grandpa's going to stay on the island, and the boy has to go home.
hmm.
Um, it was a nice way of handling it. And then, did you ever read by Oliver Jeffers, The Heart and the Bottle?
I never read it, but I've seen that one. It's really
That
nice.
one's that one hits you right
Yeah.
in the gut.
Oh yeah.
Go back to that one. I really liked that rendering.
Yeah. It's neat.
Yeah,
It's really neat.
and that bear, the bear.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Okay. So we are going to look at our honorable mentions now, and let me pull those up. And again, I'm going to just say this, that when we pick these, you know, these are just our opinions. And, if it was two other people picking them, um, you might get slightly different results. And we're not saying that this is the only way to look at it, but this is um, just kind of our, what?
I mean, we're humans
Right,
with opinions.
right. Kind of our opinion.
What
Yeah,
are we gonna do?
right. So really fun.
So was there a mix-up on our website that said they were due today?
We did have a conflict, so I hope that didn't mess anybody up. Going forward, we actually have a new social media person that we hired on, and that person is going to make sure that we don't have conflicts like that in the future, hopefully.
Yep.
So
Sorry about that, guys.
did somebody email you or something?
No, I just in the chat. Someone
Oh,
said they turned theirs in today.
um, there's a chance if you turned it in today, if it was turned in this morning, that it's in there because that's when Aaron went through these and
Oh, cool.
and it would be in here if it was before 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Then it would have made it in here.
Okay.
If not, I sincerely apologize, and it will be straightened out and not conflicting
Not
any.
only that, we should fire someone, shouldn't we?
Yes,
Let's
I
fire. Let's fire Aaron.
I'll nominate myself. I'll take
Let's
one.
fire you, Will. That'd be good.
Whoops, that one's not supposed to
We'll
be in
have to
here.
hire you again before next third Thursday, so you can do it.
Okay, so those are the honorable mentions, and now we're going to move to the critique section. Now, again, the ones we critique aren't necessarily in the honorable mentions, but a lot of times they will be. But what we're looking for to give in the critiques is um, the best lesson that we can give because, and this is something that this is kind of it's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine is when I teach at the university at UVU, a lot of times I'll be giving critiques and the other students I can see them like they're on their phone or
Hmm.
they're not paying attention or they're sleeping or doing something else
During your critique of their work?
during not their work during the critique of their classmates. They're just checked out.
Oh,
And not very many, I might add, just maybe like a handful out of the class are
even
completely
so,
they're completely checked out. And
I don't
I'm
get that.
thinking like, okay, so either and there's could be a lot of options. I mean, maybe they've been working two full-time jobs or something, but either way, it's like just in general, you can learn. You're probably making a lot of the same mistakes that other people are making. So even though your piece is probably not getting critiqued tonight, you can probably learn things from this. So that's one of the reasons why we do this. I might also add that we do have paid critiques from time to time, and we offer those on our website. We don't do them nearly enough, but that's because we're all extremely busy. But anyway, so here we go. I'm going to start out. And the first one that I'm going to look at is actually, you can see my screen pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's looking great.
Okay, so this is from Sid. And I thought this was a great idea. Izzy is the only
Octopal.
octopal in Camouflage 101 that did not care for hiding. So here we have, that's a great story. We've got octopus hiding school, camouflage school, and one of the octopi doesn't care. It's like me, right? I didn't care when I was in
Yeah.
school. So that's me. Um, and so I have some things that I want to talk about on this one, and that is design, especially in the size of elements, big, medium, and small.
Hmm.
Design, placement of key elements, and then three, emphasize concept, the emphasis on the concept. And so I might also add that these are principles that we cover in some of our classes. So this would be covered under the, well, it'd be covered in more than one, but definitely in the creative composition class. And so the first thing I'm looking at when I see this is, I'll just nab another layer here. I've got this is a kind of a critical guy here. This is another critical guy, and then this is a critical guy right here. And all
Yeah.
of them are roughly the same size. Now, this octopus in yellow is actually, I mean, it does take up a little bit more geographic area, but in basically it's almost the same size. And when we talk about big, medium, and small, and I know that I harp on this, I do this almost every time. We're talking about like a small element like that, a medium-sized element like that, and a big element that goes outside of the picture sometimes, something like that. And that size variation is what will really create interest in your image. And so without that, right, what you end up with is more of a kind of a boring composition. And so
Mhm.
that's the thing that we want to avoid. So just kind of stress that right there. So what I did was I kind of made that octopus a lot bigger, and this will also go into the concept realm now. So I changed
Mhm.
it to be really a kind of a happy octopus that's like doing its own thing basically. And
Yeah.
I didn't spend any time on this, but um, I think that like I like the octopus that Sid drew because it's swimming and that's what an octopus looks like. But it could be that that octopus is just traveling into the class. It came in late. It's just kind of
Hmm.
coming in, and then it's going to settle down and be camouflaged, right? And
Right.
I think when you're dealing with your concept, you've got to shout your concept out there. Okay, so if if everyone is conforming and hiding, then the opposite of that is jumping out and being out there in the open and being really flamboyant and just, you know what I mean, just having a good time. So I think that for me, you just don't want to be caught in the middle. Um, Another thing you could do is, and I think this is next. Yeah, so I put a maraca in his hand. Something, something where he or she is, going to get seen by another fish, right? By a
Right.
predator. Something, they could be doing anything, but just not existing, but doing something that is going to get you killed, right? Because that's the opposite of hiding.
Hmm.
Um, Another thing is, okay, so then the other thing is, let's just see. Yeah, so the other thing is when I'm looking at this, seeing that like this critical element is here and this one's here, that means that there's no critical elements in this whole part of the picture over here. And there's really, these are little octopi down here. They're so small in the image that I feel like they're going to get left out. So really the only two that you have that are telling a story is this guy and this guy. And I think you need more than that to really kind of pull it off. So I went ahead over here and put a bigger octopus in that is, I think you need to use your real estate to really sell the concept. Remember, concept is everything. The story that you're
Right.
telling is everything. So if you're not telling a really strong story, it's going to get lost. It's going to get um, hidden behind, people trying to figure out your concept. You want them to get it right away. Another thing I did is in this lower right corner, I put in another guy. And now this one is something that it's something that a lot of illustrators use. It's something that I use all the time, and that's having someone in the illustration reacting the way that you would react, right? So kind of telling
Hmm.
the viewer how to react. So the guy in the corner is ticked that this guy is going to get them all killed, right? So this,
Right.
so, and that's a device that illustrators use all the time. What do you call that? Is there a name for that?
Like what's it called? A red shirt?
Is that what it is?
I think.
We should know this
Wait,
stuff, Jake.
describe it again. It's a guy
So you
who.
you put a character, and I see a lot of people do this, and I've done this a lot of times, where if I want the viewer to get the concept, I'll actually put someone in the illustration that's reacting the way that the audience will probably react to the same situation. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're going to get us killed.
Uh, I don't know.
Okay. Well, whatever it's
So
called, that's what
Casey says an
an
emotive
emotive
mirror.
mirror. I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
It's way better than what I said.
Something like that. Like this guy in the corner is going, "Are you kidding me?" So
You're gonna get us killed.
yeah, I think the
You
art style is
moron.
really fun, and I like the understated kind of painterly, digital painterly feel. I think that's working. I just think that you got to sell the concept a little bit more, and that's going to be the theme that I'm going with tonight on every person that I'm looking at is concept, 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 right? And
Hmm.
storytelling, making sure that that story is clearly communicated. You have anything you want to add to this one?
No, I think you nailed it. Um, uh, I really just putting that guy. If it's about this guy standing out, really have him stand out.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So let me turn it
It's
over to you
my
there.
turn. All right, so I am working on this piece by um, Samuel. Is my screen showing? Pretty good. Can you see that okay, Will?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Samuel says, Jill Joy is the only wild boar that doesn't care for being part of her sounder. I never looked up what a sounder was. We
Yeah.
talked
We
about
didn't
that
know what
earlier.
that meant. Is
Um,
now whose piece is this? Let's see if
Maybe
we can
it's
get them
like a
on.
herd or something, a herd of wild pigs, probably. Anyways,
Samuel.
that's what makes sense to me.
Let's see. Is he here on the list?
I don't know.
Let's see. No, he's not. Okay. We'd try to get him on if he was, but
So I just wanted to work on this character's design a little bit, um, just to make it a little more. Uh, I feel like even though it's got the lighting and the it's round, it feels dimensional. This pose is so stiff, almost like a cardboard cutout, right? And so I think we can work on that. We can work on some of the proportions here. These feet are a little wonky,
mm,
and so let's do that. Let's get down.
the color is great on that piece.
Color is great. No, don't need to worry about any of that. Compositionally, uh, maybe that could use a little work too. Um, and I'm not sure what the snake is for. Obviously it isn't in a sounder or it isn't in a herd, so maybe it's just running around jumping over snakes, whatnot. So there's a few quirks to it, but let's talk about this shape. So we've got basically, do like this, basically a round ball. And one of the things that Will taught me, or I've seen Will do a lot of, is when you're doing a character, you want to have um, you could you could kind of get away with the perfectly round thing, but it's hard to have movement and expression with just a ball with legs, right? Like we sort of get that with Mike Wazowski, um,
Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking of.
right?
That
But
like that one works, but he's got long legs.
he's got such long limbs, and he's got so much like it, he they get away with it because I think 90% of his body is face,
Hmm.
and faces move and are pliable, and
The other
there's a lot
thing
of.
is he's also like the non-athletic guy in the room.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So one thing that I see Will do a lot is the bean shape, right? And this shape is inherently more dynamic because you have this stretching side, and then you have this like crease side. And so you've got lines coming in this way and lines stretching out this way, and it's just, there's movement happening inherently in that shape. So if you can add a little bit of that to your character, I think you're going to make your character even more dynamic. And so what I think is we come in here and we just do something like that.
Hmm.
Okay, now we're already feeling a little more dynamic, and then we can attach this nose section to the bean. So if the bean is split down the middle like this, and it comes around like that, and this nose attaches right there, we can have it just coming off like that. Then we can put our mouth underneath. And what happens when you put a mouth into something, you're going to want that cheekbone or the cheek flesh like flaring out a little bit. So usually what I think about when I do that is imagine like a cherry tomato or a water balloon or something under right there. And then you fill in the eyeball like right above that, right in that spot there. And you can have this cheek like covering up part of that eyeball. Okay, there's the iris and the pupil. And eyes are all different kinds of things. Usually all different kinds of shapes. You can go perfectly round, or you can add a little bit of design
Like
to
lid,
it.
eyelid.
Yeah, just a little bit of design to it like that, like have the lid coming down over it. So maybe we've got a little bit of that going on. Let me just crank up that a little more so we can see what we're doing here.
Marsh just
And
asking,
then
would the mouth be more centered?
I think you could do it more centered. We can try that. I have a little bit to the side because he's pushing up the cheek on that one side, but let's center it. Let's center it some more and see what happens. Okay, there we go. All right, adding the ears. Okay, now let's start adding limbs. So you draw your circles of where these limbs are going to attach. And this is one limb on this side facing us, and then it curves around, and this is where the limb's going to attach around the side that's not facing us. So
How do you know?
this
How do
thing,
you know where to put that? The one that you can't see that you.
yeah. So you, if you know this shape is like a ball, right? If you do a ball like this, and you cut it into quarters like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that this is the center, and you want to draw a line through it. So you're going to draw a line here matching up to that center part, and then it's going to keep on going straight through like that. It's not going to go like this, and it's not going to go like that. It's going to keep on going straight. And so if I do another line going through it right here, it's going to keep on going through like that. And this is on this side, and this is on that side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I eyeballed right here. So if this thing spins around like that, and I draw this right here, and I do a line right through the center, it's going to hit over here on that side. Does that make sense?
Total.
Well,
I love it.
okay,
Yeah.
good. Good. All right, and then we're going to do the same with the legs. So we got one leg going over here, and if this is a bowl shape, it's going to be over there on that side, as we cut right through the middle like that. Okay. All right, so now we know where these arms attach. We can attach them. So we're going to do one like that. And I'd like them to just taper off a little bit. We can add hands a little bit later. But that's going to come around like that, and this one's going to come like that. And then this one, if you imagine it like this shape and this shape, if it was side view, it'd be a shape like this.
Mm-hmm.
in a shape like that, but because they're overlapping, this one's going to be behind it like that. You can do darker lines just to show it. And then what we can do is, even though this leg is going to be on that side, we can bring it around to the front just for the sake of this drawing. It attaches right there like that. Okay, now let's just add our hands to it. I'm going to make them making little fists because I feel like that's what you do when you run.
Mm-hmm.
Clench them. And here we have our pose. You can see it has just a lot more life and a lot more bounce to it
Mm-hmm.
than that. Like it feels like he's actually like hopping through the desert. Now I'm going to go over the top of this with a.
Brittany says, is anyone else drawing along? That's cool.
I'm
Um,
just going to do a dark ink line just so we could see these lines a little bit better.
mm-hmm.
Okay, does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just look at this character again. He's got a tusk and some hair sticking out of the top. So maybe what we'll do is, before I do that, is just add those things. So, okay, I'm just doing three. Two the same size, one smaller one, and I think what that does is it gives us the same sort of thing going on here. You've got one bigger one and two smaller ones,
Mm-hmm.
or you're flipping that, reversing it. It's a form of balance and repetition, but also it's sort of like that 70-30 rule, where 70% is one thing and 30% is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and then let's add a little tusk sticking out there. One little tusk coming out the side. I like that. Okay, now let's do the ink.
Marcy says, should you use odd numbers on items with multiples like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Odd
Why
numbers
is that?
are better simply because even numbers create that where you have to choose between looking at one thing or the other. It's when you go to 4, it's a microcosm of 2, which is just so hard to design with two characters is really hard design to make look interesting.
Right.
And that's one thing I would say on this, the overall design of this piece is you're dealing with two characters. So you've got this one front and center, and then the one on the bottom kind of creates this eye movement back and forth rather than a circle or a triangle. And that's the more successful compositions tend to get you moving around the picture in a circle or a triangle, looking at 3 or 5 points of interest.
Mm-hmm.
2 is tough. Everything else is background on this one. So it's boar, snake, boar, snake, boar, snake, boar, snake.
All right, so that is pretty much how I'd approach this
What
guy.
about hooves instead of hands? What if he had to have
Um,
hooves?
I don't know. That gets a little too realistic.
That's what Mary's saying.
It's, it gets realistic with hooves instead of hands, or she's asking for hooves.
She's asking, what about him? Like, what if it, you know, like, what if that was your assignment?
Is to put like they're like the editor is or the publisher is like insisting on doing hooves. I would just do this.
In this crazy world where
Yeah.
where the art director is heavy-handed,
Right.
which happens.
Yeah. Yep. So there you have it, and that's all I really want to do on this one.
Okay, that's great.
I think that's the main lesson that needs to be learned from
Yeah,
this piece.
that's
So let's
great.
just one more time. We'll do the before and after.
Before and after. I think it's awesome. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Your turn, Will.
All right. So we've got one here from Kai, and Kai is not here tonight that I could see on the list. So anyway, I really like this one a lot. I thought it was a really fun idea. And the reason that I chose this one to critique is, again, I feel like the concept is great, and then it gets confused. So
Mm.
I think it starts out as being a great concept. Lee's the only great white that doesn't care for swimming. It's an odd looking image because you just don't see sharks standing on a street corner. But where I think that this one falls short a little bit is, I'm telling you, this looks like an homage. It does, absolutely. Casey's saying an homage to Lee White. Lee should have critiqued this one. Maybe I should have left this for him, but I I liked it a lot, and I thought there were so many good things happening. There's there's a high level of um, rendering and color and design and lots of things going on there. So really, the only two things I want to talk about is concept and a little bit on craftsmanship, um, because color-wise, it's great, and the values are working really, really well. This Kai understands value and legibility in value and stuff like that. And so, um, but I got this guy in the background and he's freaking out. And then I've got the dog that's freaking out. And then there's this guy with a sketchbook in the foreground and he's like, whatever. And I think you can feel free to argue, to disagree with me, Jake. But
Hmm.
if you do, you'll blow my whole critique. Just want you to know that. I feel like you got to take the characters. Either the shark doesn't belong there and he's freaking everybody out, or
Right.
the shark's there and everybody's on their cell phones and they just don't care,
Right.
right?
One or the other.
And I think we have one of both, and I think that it kind of confuses and dilutes the concept. So what I did was, um, and then I'll right now, I guess I'll talk about craftsmanship too. You can see him standing on his tail, which really is something that just would be really hard to pull off. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
if you were trying to render this in 3D, imagine this being a Pixar film. That's what I do a lot of times when I design my characters. I try to think, okay, if they had to make this character and map it and everything so that they could bend it and pose it and everything, how does it actually work? And this shark is just not going to be able to be supported by that tail. So I think you need to come up with a creative solution for that tail. I'm not saying this is the best one. This is really quick, but maybe his tail fits into shoes somehow, and
Hmm.
he kind of hops around or something. But something where it actually could work. You got to come up with something, or maybe he's in some kind of a wheelchair or using some sort of scooter or something. I don't know. Um, but I think craftsmanship wise, you need to come up with something like that.
Hmm.
Um, so I painted out the dog because this guy's freaking out in the background is awesome. And, it's like, that's how I think most people would react if a shark was standing at the bus stop reading a newspaper, especially Illustrators
Right.
Weekly. Um, so I made the dog like running away. The dog's out of here, right? So the
Hmm.
dog is just going to freak out and run away. And then I just threw some other guys in there real quick just to show like, people around are just completely freaked out by this shark. The other way to go
Right.
is basically to have everybody peaceful and placid, and your shark is the main character amongst people going about their everyday lives. And that's basically it on this one that I could see that I where I would take this. I think that it's really I think he's got like if we go back to his original or her original, um, he's got this size relationship really nice. You've got this really big shark, and then these small people, and then this tiny little dog and tiny little the size variation on like the stop sign, the bus sign is really neat. Where you've got
Hmm.
these thin little lines and thick, big, voluminous things like this. Really nice lighting too on the awning. Um, so I think it's really comes down to that concept, and that's the thing that really sells. a story to a publisher, it's the thing that sells your artwork and gets people excited about it if they can understand your story really quick. But if it's ambiguous, I think what it will do is it'll send the message to an art director or an editor that you might not be ready to tell a story because your story isn't clear. And I think you need to, if you're a student of stand-up comedy and you listen to a lot of stand-up, one of the things that the good comedians do is they're very clear on setting up their jokes. They lead you one way and then they take you in a completely different direction and that's where the humor is taking you to something that's completely unexpected. And I think
Hmm.
that's what you're doing here. You've got that shark that's completely unexpected, but you have people reacting in different ways, and I think that's what's confusing.
Hmm.
So, anything you want to add on that one, Jake?
No, I think you got it, and I just reiterate that you've got to, and this is the thing with comics as well, is that um, the simplest idea or the easily explained idea is way better
Mm-hmm.
than the prettiest picture.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, that being able to, almost iconic way of just getting it in a split second is going to get you way further than the nicest rendering,
Yeah.
the prettiest colors.
And that's something that I think is one of the biggest challenges for illustrators because we love to make things pretty. And
Yeah.
you'll see the people that are killing it in the children's book industry, and many of them didn't go to school or they came from a different area of art, like Mo
Hmm.
Willems,
Hmm.
who is, killing it in as an illustrator and an author, and yet he never went to school as an illustrator. But he communicates his ideas so clearly. I almost think it's a detriment to to want to make pretty pictures,
Right.
because really it's often at the expense of telling that really clear story. And if you're doing it right, often you'll question yourself like, is this too simple? You know,
Yeah.
um, but often, art really you should be stripping away all the unnecessary superfluous things and getting to the essence of the story that you're trying to tell.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay,
okay.
what are we doing next? Where's that pop up? Okay, show my screen. Okay, so I'm working on traces,
Cool.
and yeah, I love the idea. First, any animal piloting anything, I love. So he had me at that. Um, Problem though is this airplane has more in common with a burrito than an actual like flying machine, just with the way that it's shaped. And there's just some weird stuff going on with it. And I think it could use some work. So let's draw an airplane. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, let's do it.
First things first, just right off the bat, um, if you're gonna do, I'm gonna go in and fix this, fix everything. But if you're gonna do lines like this, those lines are gonna carry through to the other side and be like that as well. So that's just something to think about. They're not gonna all of a sudden scoop this way when they're on that side. So that's one thing that's just like blatantly weird about it. But other than that, let's actually go in and redesign this airplane a little bit. Um, what you want to do is start off with multiply that. Okay, oops, wrong layer. There we go. Just like I did with that wild boars, you want to start off with your basic shape. And with an airplane, it could be something as simple as this. But then you're going to go in and you're going to draw through the circles that make up the shape of this plane. And all this is going to do is going to help you remember that this plane is um, three-dimensional. Okay, we're going to come around and cut it in half this way. All right, and there is, if I pull that up there, you can see this thing definitely has shape. It almost looks like a Zeppelin.
Hmm.
And
So we
Zeppelins are
usually
great.
that lateral line is going to be found on both sides. So you're basically bisecting it laterally.
Right, right. Just bringing it in like that and cutting it through like that. Okay. Um, all right. So let's pull that down again.
If this is something that you're weak on, Jake had created a how to draw everything class on
Yeah.
our website. Somebody mentioned that earlier and in the chat, and
Hmm.
that will like if like this was something I love to mention this because this was something that I suffered through for like 5 or 10 years after I left art school because I never learned this there. I was resistant to drawing like this. I didn't understand how important it actually was.
Yeah,
It is
and
so
how come it
important.
wasn't like emphasized?
It was to an extent,
Hmm.
but then again, it wasn't because we were just doing, I think we were doing too many things at the same time. And so it
Oh,
got kind
right.
of lost. But I really can't blame this on any teacher. I have to blame myself because I mean, all the drawing books teach you how to do this, and I ignored
Hmm.
it. I just didn't find it
Yeah.
necessary.
So there's a design principle we talked about. When you cut something in half, you have two parts, one, two, right? And what that does is it simplifies it and it makes it, there's too many parallels there and it makes it feel um, basic, I guess. And there's room for a more dynamic design, uh, and that's usually what you want. So what I'll do is I'll divide an object into thirds, and then I'll have design favor one of those thirds. Okay, and what I'm going to talk about here is where do we add this cockpit? So this cockpit is exactly in the middle. The wings are exactly in the middle. And what I want to do is change that a little bit. I want to, instead of putting this cockpit right there and putting the wings right there, let's divide it into thirds. There we go. And put the cockpit back here and maybe put the wings up here. And what that does is it gives us all this room to play up here to add
Hmm.
just areas of interest, and it gives us, you know, something, gives it room for an engine, and it just, I don't know, I just think that makes the design a little bit better.
Hmm.
So we're going to put this cockpit right here. Just cut it out of there. It's like a
Also,
potato
like
chip.
cutting something in half is just not good
Hmm.
design usually.
Right, exactly. Okay, so that's where our cockpit is, and then we can have this wing right there. It's not going to be as fat. Um, Airplanes will have these elevators back here. I forget what they're called. You could do them up top like this. You could do them down here like this, but you got to have them.
Hmm.
I think uh, it just looks a little weird not to have them. Okay, so we'll put ours back there like that, and then we'll put our wings up here like this, and we'll have it cut through, just draw through the object, have it go like that on
And how
that
did you
side.
know? How do you know to make the wing that's closer to us so much bigger?
Well, it's technically not that much bigger. If you look at that, and then you see where this wing attaches, and you look at that, I guess it is a little bit bigger. That goes to perspective, but the reason this one looks so tiny is because I know it actually attaches over here, and there's a good third of the wing we're not seeing because it's obscured by the fuselage of the plane.
Hmm.
Um, but there's a thing with perspective where things closer to us are bigger and things smaller that are smaller are usually farther away, and this wing is closer to us, so it's going to be a little bit bigger, just a little bit.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's that. Now, this is an airplane that has eyeballs on it. Um, but before we get to that, let's add this propeller, and we're going to just simplify it and make it a single, instead of a three propeller, and I know they should have done a fourth one, but it's going to get in the way of the eyes. We're just going to do two, like this, and this is the circle that the propeller is going to rotate at. Now we've got all this room here for the eyes, so we're gonna do them here like this, and just add them like that, I
Hmm.
think. And then we'll add our little windshield right here like that, and our aardvark's going to be back here like this. Okay, I'm going to dial up this white so we can really see this airplane. Then we can go in here and we can add these stripes that the guy had on there before,
Hmm.
and add some stripes here like this, like that. And this is a really solid approach to designing anything geometric, or not just geometric, but anything three-dimensional and shapy.
Hmm.
What are we saying?
Well, voluminous. I mean, like it's, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
got a lot of, yeah, a lot of different volumes and different.
So I'm just going to go over it with the black line just so we can escape all this construction and show you the parts you want to keep.
And the more you practice this, the more you practice starting with those big shapes. And one thing that Jake could have done, you know, is you could have started with a box that this plane
Hmm.
fits in, right?
Yeah.
You've drawn so many vehicles that you're doing a lot of calculations, even though you're showing a lot of your work, you're also
Hmm.
doing a lot of calculations in your head. Oh,
Yeah, and I think if you're practicing your drawing with a box, that's really good. But I think you should also be practicing spheres and ovals and
mm,
those shapes as well. Just so you get used to using them. They're going to show up in a lot of the stuff you're drawing, so you might as well learn how to do them. I usually like to have these little things, ailerons.
the flaps. It's funny. My youngest son, has recently got into flying airplanes, and so I know a lot about the different parts of.
He actually flies them.
Yeah, model. You know the models.
Oh, okay. I was like
No,
real airplanes.
no, but
All right, and then one last thing is you can actually go in here and add little panels like this if you want. You can I like the stripes back here like that, but then you can go in and add a thing there like that. Just adding these little panels helps make these things look so much more believable.
yeah,
All right, that's all I wanted to do for this one. Just
awesome.
kind of show you how to construct an airplane. So there's our before airplane. After, oh, I forgot to add his toothy grin, right? So maybe you just do something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Okay, that's it for that.
All right, awesome. So I decided to do some extra credit tonight since we are going to, since we're missing Lee. So I also wanted to show Jake up and tell him that
Well,
I'm totally willing to go further.
well, I forgot to tell you that I'm critiquing 5 more assignments. Yeah, that's right. This is gonna be a 3-hour class tonight.
I'm not gonna do a full thing. I just want to look at a few and just give like one thing that I think would make them better because there's so many. Can you
This is
see?
like the lightning round.
Yeah, this is really quick. So I'm not going to do anything on it, but I'll just talk about it. Real quick, just something else to notice, and I've noticed this on other pieces. I noticed that we've got this fall off on detail in the back where it's getting blurry over
Hmm.
here on this side. So you see this cup is really blurry. But right next to the cup is this burger that's really crisp. So watch that. Watch your edges. Crisp, really crisp face, really crisp fries and burger, really blurry cup and blurry arm. It's great to have the blurry in the background, but you've got to keep things on the same plane pretty much in the same level of detail. Okay, next. This was a neat one from Becky. And the only thing that I thought that would really kind of help this one out a little bit more is just it's simple and it's really nice in that it has such a really nice soft feel to it, and it's
Hmm.
again it's like really nice little line work and it understated and all. I think it could just have just a few little extra details in there to really sell the concept. I think like palm trees, maybe a starfish, and then maybe like having some waves coming in, and it just I think it'll just give it just a little bit more of that tropical feel to it. Like
Yeah.
what's the opposite of Arctic is tropical. So we want to sell that tropical idea really quick and get that
Hmm.
as a quick read. And then I was looking at David's, and I really like this style. It actually reminds me of Jack Unruh,
Hmm. I was
um,
gonna say
the
that too.
late Jack Unruh, who just barely passed away. I think this last year. Um, um, but anyway, the only thing I was going to say on this is I think that the lines on the floor, those really black, dark lines, are kind of taking away from the overall feel of where you could have emphasis with dark lines. Like you've got these nice lines on the character that are thicker around the arms, and that's beautiful work. Around the collar
Hmm.
where you're deciding where to put that black. I feel like it's getting upstaged by all this dark in the tile where I think the tile should just go away to just fade away a little bit more and not be emphasized so much. Anyway, that was a little nitpicky thing.
Yeah.
So,
Can
okay.
I add one more?
Yeah.
Can you just, and I gotta announce next month's thing too,
hmm And we're going to show the winner.
and we're gonna show the winner. So Scott's beautifully rendered turtle. You gonna switch me over?
Oh, you're going to show one? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, just really quick. So this one, you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, beautifully rendered, like such a good painting and lighting and shadow and all
hmm
that stuff.
hmm
But again, this is what I was talking about, is the beauty of the illustration taking precedence over the concept.
hmm
And I think if you're going to put a turtle on a motorcycle, like you want to see the whole thing. You want to
Yeah.
see that turtle straddled on a motorcycle,
Right.
popping a wheelie. You don't want to see 5% of a motorcycle and just the face of the turtle. I like that expression. Like this might be the illustration you see after you see the turtle straddle the motorcycle. So that was just one of my little nitpicks.
Yeah. I like that.
All right, do we want to do next week's
Let's
challenge
show the winner. Yeah, let's show the winner
after the
first.
winner?
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
Okay. So here we go, and here we go, and there we go. This one is from
Yeah.
John, and I thought it was awesome. I
Hmm.
just, it's just such a great illustration.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. And really in this, keeping within the spirit of this assignment, I thought it just really was a great combination between concept and rendering. And really that's what we're looking for a winner is one that really illustrates the concept and also has great execution on the illustration. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Good
so
job.
thanks a lot, John.
Bravo.
Yeah, and contact Aaron svslearninfo@gmail.com, and he'll set you up with a free class.
Hmm.
And if you have any questions, just shoot us an email. And then, Jake, you're going to show your next month, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Oh, that's cool.
the prompt is after being stranded for 2 months, Willie could not believe who was here to rescue him. So I'll post it up on the website and in the forum. And I even though I drew our little rabbit guy, our red rabbit guy stranded on the island, the words are very the prompt is very open. It doesn't say anything specific. So be creative with it. Where is he stranded, and who is picking him up? And what is he? Is he a red rabbit, or is he something completely different? So,
Can you read it again?
yep, I'll read it one more time. After being stranded for 2 months, Willie could not believe who was here to rescue him.
Oh, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
So this guy nobody's shown up yet on this one, but that's your job,
no,
is to figure out
yes.
who and what and how and all that kind of stuff. Great.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for all the pieces that you spent countless hours on, and we are so appreciative of that, and we love uh, being able to come here and critique these and help out where we can. And we'll look forward to next month. So get going on it, because Third Thursday will come up sooner than you think. With
Hmm.
that, we will say good night.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.